Two things. First off, I'm just an OS2 user in a sense, an OS2 ECS user. I'm a person who has little in the way of programming skills and essentially has found this to be an incredibly flexible and useful way to get jobs done. And that's what I do. I use this in my job all the time. I save copies of any kind of document after it's signed or handwritten documents by scanning them. And so a lot of the scanning I do is admittedly line art, black and white. But scanning in general with ECS OS2 is one of the real bright spots. Because I'd say at this point, as far as compatibility with hardware that's out there on the market, we probably have a better shot at getting a good driver for virtually anything that's available. Maybe the last year or two is not so much the case, but pretty much up to the last maybe couple of years even, because a lot of the work that's being done by people in Linux to provide drivers for their many users, I guess. Anyway, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about what I've sort of seen as the evolution of scanning, because when I first started trying to use scanning under OS2, there was a problem that almost all of the scanning programs out there and all the scanners were parallel port based, and that wasn't very useful for the most part for people like us under OS2, because the options were pretty limited. There are a number of programs that I won't even talk about today, but they provided support for a variety of scanners that were available at that time as part of the overall package. I mean, I think Impos 2 maybe, or one of the, there's another one somebody had mentioned the other day. Usually what they have though is like a half dozen different scanners they would support, something along that line. And then I started getting into using SCSI, and the nice thing of course about that is the majority of the compatible drivers we had at that time, especially for SCSI drivers. What I did was to begin using, of course, scanners that were available on eBay. And eBay is a wonderful resource for finding scanners, because you can buy scanners that have been years out of production, still working beautifully, and no problems really for the vast majority of them, for which we already have good drivers. And there is I guess in the past we had a company, STI, and I'm afraid I don't remember exactly what that stands for, but they produced a set of drivers that unfortunately, even though they looked very promising, turned out to be very limited, because they had a long list of projected drivers. They were drivers that were in the process of being developed. Unfortunately, the person who was doing that development apparently passed away. And he was also the person who'd been developing an OCR program, which was pretty good. It was a work in progress. But that pretty much put STI out of commission as far as real long-term viability in OS2. But then we finally come to what has turned out to be, well, I'm sorry, I forgot one of them, CFM, Computer for Dimension, Computer for People, I guess. It's basically a company that out of Germany that's produced a large number of drivers for many production scanners, as well as scanners you might want to use in your home, just to process some photographs of ants and so on. And actually, that's one thing that I found very useful as a scanner, is being able to take a lot of photographs that were starting to really fade seriously already, for which there was no negative available to work with those. So in home use, I found it to be invaluable for things like that, making archival copies. But the idea that SCSI was something that was available, and we had lots of available SCSI scanners, we had the drivers and the scanners, was what really got me rolling with it. And what I have here today are a couple of examples of what we can use at this point in time. One of which is definitely legacy in a sense, although I swear it's as good as most of the stuff that's out there right now. This is a little Fujitsu scanner. This was intended to be a work group scanner. And I have another one here that's a Canon scanner that I think was intended to be for purely home use, very light use. And I can tell you a few stories about this in a minute. But to start out with, SCSI is something that I think is still a viable way of getting connected with a lot of old and very solid pieces of equipment like this. This is a 3091C something, right? This is a scanner that is sheet feed. There's another one that's almost exactly like it, except that it also has a flatbed associated with it. I actually have one at home that I'm planning to work on the process of getting a driver for. That is one that will do a full, 11 by 17 page. Got it very inexpensively.
Cost of shipping?
Yeah, because the shipping, it's one of those where the shipping costs almost as much as the device itself.
Usually more.
Yeah, I've had that.
Those things are heavy.
Yeah. Actually, I ordered a recliner one time, and it was like a very inexpensive recliner. The main cost was shipping. It was a real eye-opener. But anyway, the nice thing with this is that I can buy, if I need to, a replacement. In fact, the kind of work I was doing at one point where I had consulting positions in a number of different places, I would simply get a port replicator, or actually a full-size docking station, and attach a scanner to it, attach a printer. I've got some old HP printers, and I had to buy a bunch of those, and a keyboard and mouse. And so when I came to those sites, all I had to do was plug in my line. Everything went beautifully from there. I can't guarantee you that you'll find one every time you try for $25, but I have before purchased working scanners, clean working scanners like this for $25 on eBay. And I see them all the time. The other day there was one, and I feel really sad that I didn't go for it seriously, because it had a lot of the replacement parts, because those are actually probably a lot of where Fujitsu made its money after sales. Essentially, they were able to sell pressure pads and rollers and things like that. But I also have some ways to extend the life of those that I might talk about. The main thing with this is that it's even scanning at a rate of 400 dots per inch, which is pretty fine. Finer than most of the time is used for simple document document archive. It's fairly fast, and it will run a series of scans of, say, 8.5 by 11 with that resolution, maybe somewhere around 8 a minute, which is not super fast, but it's fast enough for almost any use I've ever had. I'll take things like invoices and payments and so on, and put the stack into the feeder here, and basically let it go. And other than the fact that sometimes pages stick together with that sort of thing because they have very, very crisp edges on the fold. Otherwise, it's very nice because then I end up with a good record of various invoices that I've received recently, and don't have to worry about keeping the originals in my own hands. And basically, it's allowed me to go from one place to another with records of everything I've done, even to the point of being at home and needing to know what I did somewhere else and having that available to me immediately. What I'm going to do is, at this point, just write something down very small, because I write very small all the time, which is part of the reason I went to 400 dots per inch. But the beauty of it is that, let's see.
How do you connect SCSI to a ThinkPad?
I'm going to talk about that in just a second, because that is a good question. That's another thing you can do inexpensively with legacy parts from eBay. Yeah, you don't have to have a big AHA something card that takes up a lot of space and has to have there just aren't many PCI versions of SCSI cards. While I'm doing this, let's see. Slides right out of there. There we go. What I use is the 1460 card. There are a variety of similar cards, but it's a PCMCIA card that fits into one space in the slot, one slot basically in the PCMCIA. I was wondering, newer laptops, say the 61 or 510, and do they still all have PCMCIA slots?
Some do, and some have not got OS2 support, but it's on a case-by-case basis at this point.
But as far as having slots for the card, the PCMCIA card to be inserted?
Let's say that it stays the numbered for sure.
Okay. Well, I will say then that this may be something that's less viable than it used to be, although I have considered the possibility of trying to find a small card that I could use in a docking station, because it has room for a card to be installed. I think they usually were thinking it would be like a video card or a communications card of some kind. But there is a fair amount of space there. So what I need to do is find out whether there were good cards that could be used in that way. Again, they would probably be available inexpensively. And I heard somebody earlier saying that you didn't have a PCI slot to put in the card. I have a lot of IDE SCSI cards, and anybody who is interested in the IDE SCSI card, please let me know. I'd be more than glad to send them one.
IDSI.
ISA or PCI?
ISA, ISA card, thank you. Yeah, IDE, I'm talking about drives. Same generation, kind of, in a sense, but, well, yeah, okay.
The Russian converted
But yeah, ISA is right, yeah, ISA is not, okay, so ISA cards, a lot of people will send you one to scan. You buy a scanner and they say card included. It's almost always going to be one that has the nice large pins on the connector, and then the card itself is an ISA card. And those are I don't know. They're still viable cards to use in a situation where you don't have the PCI slots available. And this happened to be a legacy desktop, as I understand it anyway, but it probably does have an ISA slot. Is that right?
It's got to be real legacy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is real legacy. What's that? It's not microchannel. No. I can't help with that. But anyway, let's see. What I'm going to do is bring up, this is the CFM, the computer formation.
Is that something you can still get, the CFM thing?
Can you still purchase CFM anywhere?
I don't think you can.
Yes, you can. It's still available on BMT. And it is a limited resource, I would say. When I was talking about the availability of scanners and scanner drivers and so on, it's really not the wave of the future. I just happen to use that one for this particular scanner for a couple of reasons. I just made an unfortunate discovery, which is apparently I disconnected the power when I booted. And this is one of the reasons, this is one of the situations where SCSI is not at its best, let's say. And that is when you want to connect it and it's not already there. But I'll address that in just a minute. Do I want to save my changes? I guess so. I don't know. Usually, sometimes if I'm sleeping in front of my computer and it asks if I want to save my changes, I usually tell it because I have no idea what I might have done.
What did I do?
Yeah. And I wake up in the morning, I find out that I've completely wiped out an entire document or something. It's not a pretty sight. But anyway, this will come back up in just a moment. Actually, you'll be able to see the very first message that comes across when it's booting is one that's regarding the SCSI card and how it's identified that there is a device attached. Come on. Oh, okay. The e-ball's up here. It's not showing up. There we go. Pretty good. That's strange. Wonder what the explanation is for why we got that on there, and I've got the full. Oh well.
That's just video resolution. It's something
It's not showing it, but actually it says
wants to be.
AIC 6360 or whatever driver is loaded and so on. It gives the ID number, which is 3 in this case. These little this 1460 card was, I should say, I guess, the solution that Adaptec came up with for people needing mobile use of SCSI. And all of the laptops that I needed to use it with had slots for it. Actually, now that I think about it, oh gosh, I was just considering the docking stations I've been hearing about for more recent ThinkPads, for instance. And I don't think they have any space in the PC card like they used to. But anyway, this will be up in just a second. There we go. This isn't the fastest booting pad, but I would really like the way my desktop computer at home boots with of course, the mutable JFS and everything. It's a nice way to go. Anyway, here we go. Well, this time, if I hit acquire, it's going to bring up the interface, identifies the scanner. I usually will go to, I see it's set at 400, I don't know, it's probably not budgeted, that's at 400 dpi. It allows you this particular thing, something they said, don't use that, that's not a real application, that's just an example or something you can use as a development item. They were trying to sell their development suite. Basically, they also had a development suite that went with this to help you develop an application based on it. So they didn't want us to use this particular setup as the main way of getting it scanned, but it works fine for my needs. One thing I've had to figure out is that when I reboot or basically reboot, each time it numbers them the same way, CFM0001.TIF, that I have it set up. And so if I'm not careful, I can scan over them. But that's the main issue. Okay, let's see what we can do here. It's real responsive. This one has lamps in it that are in good shape. It doesn't take long for it to start. I have some of this model that I have to wait a few seconds until things warm up, but otherwise they're easy to use.
Yeah, that's the older lamp. That's one area if you want to play with these things. If you go buy a couple of them, you'll get a better lamp. Maybe you have one with a bad motor that has a good lamp and you can swap it in. I know I'm sitting there with an old SCSI scanner. It's waiting for something else to die. Remember, that's what I'll do. Because it's cheaper to go buy the scanner and pay the shipping than it is to try to find the lamp.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want about $200 for the lamp assembly, if you can find it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is some of the parts are just outrageous.
Well, you know, how many do they sell a year?
Yeah.
You know, it's found money if they sell one.
Okay, what did I, oh, I know what it is. I was scanning
I think you were in the right way.
back of the page. It is blank. It is blank. So,
It's a noise check.
It's an exact copy of it.
High resolution. Okay, let's drop it. There we go.
you get enough of those, maybe they'll breed, and you can get more.
Yeah, by the way, I have to tell you, the scanners I brought with me, I have multiple of both of them. Well, actually, just 2 of that one, but I think I have 4 or 5 of this one. And I just had to grab them, not knowing whether I was taking a working scanner with me. Thank God. It turned out to be a perfectly usable one, and that was one of those gentlemen. Okay. So, oops. It's actually pretty much 100%. What it's doing is picking up, since I dropped out the color red, it's only picking up part of that.
Well, that's the lines on the paper, those rows of dots.
Right, exactly. And let's see, I go to, let's see, Alt. There we go. You can see how as far as clarity of this, there's no really aliasing, as we call it. The lines are very clear. I write very small a lot of the time. I may fill a page with enough to otherwise fill 5 or 6 pages, 7 pages even. And to make it legible for people, other than myself, when I have to send something to someone, they want all that for some reason, even though I've given them like included. I will blow up the page and take half the page, rotate it to landscape, print it that way, and make it legible. And because there is, no aliasing occurring, the clarity is good. This isn't the best example in the world. I was standing up when I was writing, but legibility is to a point where this tiny writing among that I can read easily. That people can't because they don't share the Coke bottles that I've had my whole life practically. This makes it possible for them to read it. Also, holding it out here and so on. Anyway, that's something that's very easy to do. Turn out tons of pages of perfectly scanned documents like this with no difficulty under OS2. Now, one of the things about this is, as I was kind of alluding to earlier, we have some limitations. Let's see, oops. Sorry about that, I'm trying not to do oopses, but let's see if this will stay where I put it too. I'll put it another line. This gives you kind of an idea. We're talking about, and I have to be honest with you, some of these are what I would consider legacy, without much doubt. But there's a list, for instance, of the scanners under Fujitsu's name, and that includes a number that are. Well, this is actually the 91 DCD, so that's about midway, about a third of the way up maybe. A number of these scanners that come later on the list are larger, faster. They have capability. Some of them are just black and white. They're just intended for documents like this. This is actually a SCSI color. It's a color scanner. It's a decent quality color. Unfortunately, and this is why I'm doing this the way I am. I had most of the materials I was wanting to work with on another laptop, which is all but inaccessible. No screen, nothing shows up basically at this point. The display is working. And then the other one was my desktop at home, which decided to boot the entire disk apparently is not starting up for some reason, and I have no idea why yet, although I suspect a power supply problem. That's one that has it has a SCSI array on it that I use for most of the data that I keep. But the boot drive itself is a SATA drive, and I think that the power to the SATA portion of things might be quick. So I didn't have time to replace the power supply, unfortunately. Now, a number of these scanners that are later in this list are ones that are capable of rapid scanning about, 3 to 4 times as fast as this one. I have one at home that I use when I have large jobs. When I don't want to wait as long for this, I have to for this. And it's I'd say roughly twice as fast, maybe close to three times as fast. And it's not even a really fast Fujitsu. Fujitsu makes scanners for businesses as much as anything. I'd say that's their main target is the business market. And they make some very nice ones. I'm going to come back to Fujitsu a little bit later because it's I like their scanners a lot, and I was kind of disappointed because I see this list end, and it ends at a point where, well, gee, I'd like to have one of these really fast duplex color scanners that they have now. This is duplex color, by the way. It'll do front and back and give you real high definition, high color. It has I think most of the Fujitsu scanners have a native, optical maximum of 600 dots per image, which is decent. It's enough to get a really, really fine scan. I'll go ahead and go through a little more of this so you can see that some of these are the classic scanners that we had drivers for that were available in things like OS2, which is the microtext, which I don't see around much anymore. Some of these Ricos are also production scanners that can do an amazing amount of paper for you in a short time. Anyway, let me put that away. All they're for.
So is the only way you could get to this scanner by using CFM? There's no other possibility?
Well, no, and that's what I'm going to get to now, because this is where the real future of scanning in OS2 lies, and that's with Sync. Scanner access now easy. I don't have any idea who came up with that name, but it's Linux, and I don't care. It sounds a little weird. It's okay. It keeps me sane, actually. And that's a good thing about it, because it tells me a number of things. One thing about scanning and getting a new driver is somebody's got to be able to make a driver or port a driver. And writing drivers from scratch, I understand it's kind of a complicated thing. The device in the chip inside the scanner, the sensor and so on, there is often an immense amount of processing that occurs there. Some of the later scanner I was talking about that is similar to this, it automatically figures out what the best dropout color is to allow you to have good definition for putting word on the page. So if it needs to drop out one color or another, or if it even needs to do more than one color on the same page, it knows how to do that. Lord knows there must be some interesting messages that have to be sent to that to be able to do what it does. I don't really have the time or energy to even look for all that information. I have read that they actually use some techniques that are based on fractals to gather the maximum amount of data from the page at the highest possible speed. Why exactly that is, I couldn't tell you, but it's a book written by a mathematician. It was kind of surprising. Apparently that's one way they're able to hit as many important data points as possible in order to get a finally resolved printed page, or scan page in this first. Now let's see.
You asked, is CFM the only way you can do this? Is there a reason, why are you asking that question? Is there something, I know nothing about this, so.
I'm just curious, like what the world is here,
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable question because CFM is available still, but it's not going to be available forever. And the scanner, as much as I kind of like it, it's kind of a buddy of mine. It's gone a lot of places with me, and it's managed to work despite the fact that I've not treated it very well sometimes. It's kind of an amazing creature. Eventually this may not be usable, but even in the meantime, I may want to switch.
But if you've got an older scanner,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with using the software you're describing.
No, but one thing about this that's kind of nice is that it is conceivably, although they don't have a driver specifically for this port yet, it's conceivably going to be available for us as a sane port. And this is, I want to make a little bit of a, what's the word here, give Paul Smedley another kudo. He, is somebody who, of course, has done a lot of porting in a number of areas, and Apache, all kinds of things. It's just an amazing list. He has also ported a lot of the same drivers, and I will show you a little bit about what you can do. Oh, I'm sorry, I already did it, didn't I? Okay, I've got it up here. It says failed. Oh, I don't like that. I hate seeing that, actually. But if you look, B0T010, blah, 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 or L0, I guess. It's going through a list. Basically, it's looking for a scanner. This is a module that Paul has available that allows you to try to find the device information that's necessary to identify the scanner. I'm going to run down the page a little further here so I can show you. No SCSI scanners found. If you expected something different, make sure that you have where this left so. Okay, below that, under USB and it found two devices searching for SCSI scanners. It found a scanner, may or may not be supported. Okay, then it says try scan image with the switch L. This is basically the utilities I was saying that Paul can send to you, or I think it's available in some of the packages he's already put out. But it will try to identify what's there. It'll at least tell you if it responds when it's queried. So you know that there's a responsive piece of hardware and it's worth continuing with the process. The next part of the process, close this, is using scan image. Okay, I think that was. Yeah, what I did was put a number of options down here. But what he has done, I see that I've broken this up into separate parts. I thought I had something a little different here, but basically this is the way scan image can be set up for a variety of different things. You can figure out what, if you know what scanner you have, there are packages of same scanner drivers that are available that will include the particular scanner that you're looking for. And there are lists available with those that will show which ones have been fully implemented under Linux. In any case, the majority of them have been fully implemented and have all the features that you would hope to have with native driver written by the team that originally made it. The one thing I have to say is that I have yet to see a driver for OS2 ECS that will allow you to use the buttons on the front panel of the scanner. And that's, I guess, a matter of having it send a message when you press a button back to the program, back to the driver, and have it then feed the request to the scanner. I don't know for certain, but that's always what I sort of suspected. So I suppose it's something that could be implemented if you really needed that so badly, but it's more of a kind of a fussy convenience than anything else as far as I can see. But this process, let's see, I'm going to close this one down, which unfortunately was not what I was hoping I was going to have in it. Set it up here. There we go. Okay.
Mark, you have about five minutes left.
Okay, I'll finish this up real quick. This is the whole process. Basically doing a scan image and creating a file, the scan PMN. That's what he had me do in this particular case. These are the const files that are found in same. Basically, those are those drivers under Linux that have been, a report has been attempted of. And you get various pieces of information. Here it's showing that, for instance, you would put the back-end name for sane in here. One nice thing is we have sane and tame, and tame is the front end that makes this a little bit more easily accessible. But there's a way to get debug information, basically all the information that Paul needs to be able to finish the job. He prefers, of course, to have the scanner available in his own, let's say, lab. That's not always possible. With some of these, like this one, for instance, I could easily send him one. Even though he's in Australia, I could try to find one in Australia so the shipping would be low, hopefully. And then we'd have it handy. I haven't done that yet because so far I haven't needed it. But if I do at some point, a wonderful thing to have. I did have both USB and standard driver for a Hewlett-Packard model, but I no longer have. I'm not a big fan of some of the Hewlett-Packard scanners that I use. They seem to wear out more quickly than the others and get to a point where they just don't do the job anymore. But I've done something here intentionally, which is I left my USB scanner over here, unplugged, so that I can plug it in and show that it is possible to do that.
That's the Canon?
That's the Canon. And I don't know if you may not be able to see it from back there. This has dents and scrapes, scuffs all over it. I was told by people, you cannot use that as a mobile scanner. You cannot take that places. It's going to tear it up. It's going to be so badly out of adjustment after a little while that it will no longer function. I can say, well, maybe, but I don't think so. Yeah, what I found, this is typical of what I've ended up doing in my scanners like this when I was carrying them with me. And that'll be in one of those rolling bags, for instance, that I'll end up stuffing some cords in the same compartment so it gets this. This has been beaten up pretty well. It uses what is the term here? I think it uses a software. What is that called? It's the type of laser, a solid state laser. I think is the way it operates. So that
CCD.
What's that?
CCD.
I think it's actually an array of solid state laser chips across there. I think so. I think that's what the LIDE has something to do with that. But whatever the situation is, there's not anything in there that's all that delicate.
You have to look that up because I always just thought LIDE was the model name.
It's actually something that describes the, let's see, here we go, LED indirect exposure. So it's LED.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a solid state device, but they're able to make, individual, LED devices small, and then I think they also use a means of shifting them slightly and then overlapping to get a higher definition than they could otherwise from the simple array of LEDs. But whatever is the case, I just plug that in.
And what driver will you use? Are you going to use the same driver, or
This will be the same driver. This is one you can install from the materials that come with ECS. It's one of the things that's an option. Same twain, cane. What's that?
Same thing.
Same tame. Tame is, I think, neat name for it. Yeah, it really does tame the beast in a sense here. But let me open that up real quickly. It's interesting. I've got here's CFM, and then right next to it is tame. And it's a little bit different kind of an interface. But let's see. We'll go ahead and scan here so you can see. Yeah.
I use that all the time.
this particular one?
Yeah.
Do you use the same model, the same Canon?
I think it is.
I think it's the most recent. It's a lot of HP USB scan.
Yeah. A lot of people
Well,
use the
not-
Canon because it's so widely available. And it does work pretty well. It's a little slow, but it works fine.
Let's see.
For onesie twosie pages, it's great.
Let's see.
It's turned on.
Other than time, there's,
Yeah.
that works fine. I don't think the Fujitsu type to us.
Not
I don't know,
necessarily.
if you got to scan
I
other
use
pages, you might want to
this in my
Fujitsu.
consulting as well at one point, and it
You
was.
know, again,
Scanning
what are you doing?
photographs, you're going to
Yeah, actually, this one is better for some of those sorts of things. If you're going to scan photographs, it actually does a little bit better job of getting the color qualities out of it than, say, this one would. But in any case, it's telling me that I've done something wrong.
Do you have an issue hooking one of these up to like a ThinkPad, where you may only have a 12 gig or less than 20 gig hard drive? Does this take a lot of space?
Depends on the resolution you scan at.
You're going to photograph as high as you can get.
Well, what's high as you can get in your book?
If I want to do 600.
That's nothing. That's no problem.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of times.
That's
it's
actually
based
low
off-
resolution for photograph.
Here we go, it's
12.
scanning.
Well,
I think I may have had the
depends.
connection
It's a
script, but it says no, this gets all
not
counted.
any benefit. It really depends on the optical resolution of the scanner. Everything
Like
else
that
is
one
sort
right
of,
there. So I got
that
access
one,
to one of
I
those.
think that has a 1200 optical.
I believe so. It is high, and the nice thing about it too, though, is that it isn't all, it's slow, but not that bad.
Yeah, that's the USB interface.
It's USB interface.
And actually, you might want, one of the things I was thinking is you might want to play with that a little bit because it may be a side effect of our old USB 2.0 drivers. Because I believe that has mass storage interface. So it'll use or 2.0 interface. Because it's got a lot of data. And our newer version of the USB 2.0 drivers are definitely a lot faster.
Because I do a lot. I scan,
Yeah.
archive all my work over time.
But you do the same thing.
I'm willing to wait, but it goes faster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
you're-
the
so
thing,
you're doing the same
if you
thing I
do it,
do.
if you walk away, come back 30 seconds, it's done, and
Yeah.
that's good enough, it's good enough. Problem is, if you got 100 pages to scan, you won't finish in a day.
And the job is
Yeah, it's not quite 30 seconds, but yeah, it is long, by comparison to the other one. I have to be honest though, the really fast ones aren't usually quite as small as this. Although they do have a few that are purely sheet feed that are pretty darn fast.
That's actually pretty nice for an ADF, it's tiny.
But anyway, this is the same writing I was talking about before, and it's still picking up the background information from the
Actually,
lines
is
on
that
the page.
display or real? Because on some, when I scan, like I scanned on my scanner like this, these lines might be dropped out on display, but that's because your display is so infinitely smaller resolution than your hardware, and when you print, the lines come up.
The other thing is I had dropped out, I believe, that color. But anyway, one last, well, I think I already showed you the one about, let me go back to that real quickly here. I'll just be another moment and I'll be done.
Yeah. Well, you'll have time for questions after because looking for our next speaker.
Maybe that did to me too. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Here at the bottom of the page,
In this case, it's okay.
I'll get my turn.
Yeah.
basically, if you're going to go through this, he talks about what information to send. And I would put this all together as a file to make available, especially since it wasn't available in any format at this point. But he talks about what information he needs, and of course, don't forget, donate if at all possible. I feel free to donate because I use it so much. For me, it's I have vested interest in donating, and this is one of the things that I think has really been helpful. But you can probably get, if you look at the same
For anyone who wants to
website,
use it.
you'll be amazed. There are hundreds of scanners listed.
Any Ethernet scanners? Is that right?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Yes.
Quick question, any decent choices in a automatic sheet feed scanner?
Automatic?
Yeah, put a stack of documents in and
This one does that, right?
Well, yeah, actually, this one, I can put up to 25 pages in this one and just let it go.
one file per page.
And you give me that, and you can join each one. I use PM View as my preferred way of working with the pages themselves. The PM View is really nice because it's worked out some ways that I've been able to sort and move the documents to the places they need to be very quickly. Peter's got some nice things built into that, like the move command, and you can get a whole list of places you want to move things over time. And then just go select that particular location and send it. So it's nice because I can do the sorting directly from PMView in just a few seconds. Yeah, PMView is a wonderful part of scanning in my mind because that's one of those things that makes the documents themselves easy to manage after you've got them. Yeah. I've been thinking about trying to put together a little utility in Rex or something that would label them, but it's kind of like between between the spare time between 2 and 3 a.m. kind of thing, it's just not viable at this point. But I would say that in general, the possibilities of Paul out here are really good. And I'm actually thinking about talking to Paul and see if he would tutor me if I get his development environment. You know, he has that, someone had said before, he has that on like DVD, I guess, or CD.
Just order it. Not call
Yeah,
it Paul.
I'd ask him to tutor me through working with Sane, though, is the thing. You know, help me get all the licks
Well,
down
you
to
start
that.
working. The trick
But
with
the
all
basic-
of this stuff, if you want help, the way to do it is start, fail, ask questions.
Well, yeah.
If you don't start, you'll never,
yeah.
nothing happens.
Well, there's no question about that. And when I say tutorial, I mean, I would want to go to him something as a, you know, as where I started that. It was right to go first, but basically, I want to make sure that if Paul decides not to do same drivers anymore, if something happens and Australia is submerged and
we got another
got so much water and we've lost Paul forever, I want to make sure that there's some way we can have the drivers available. And I'm thinking that as quickly as he was able to produce them for me in the past, that it may be something, and once I get the techniques down relatively well for, I'll be able to do without too much difficulty. Of course, then I can go and see the questions, but in any case, it's something realistic, and I think this is an area where I'm hoping
Running
to
into
provide
lunch
more
hour.
financial support.
We should wind up so we can get
All
to our
right.
next speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.